There you go, buddy. That's a good boy. See? It's not so bad. Good boy. You're so happy.
Not really.
You're so happy.
Not really.
Feels so good to be clean. Max, turn around.
Max,
turn around.
come here.
Stop! No, not that, not that, not that. Come on, do your normal thing. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, dry yourself. Dry yourself. Go on. There's a good boy. There you go. Yeah. Get dry. Yeah, get in here. No, not that way. Not that way. Come on, get back in here. That's probably the happiest footage that you're gonna see in this video. And before we start off, I just want to say that I didn't rehearse this. I didn't practice, like talking or anything and trying to word anything. I'm just kind of saying it all how it is. I didn't even warm up my voice, as you can probably tell. Sounds a little scratchy. I just have my coffee. But today we're going to talk about Max. And I know what you guys are thinking. As soon as you click on the video, you're trying to figure out what the heck happened. You're probably scrolling through the comments trying to figure out an answer, or you're scrolling fast forwarding ahead of the video trying to find the spot exactly where I tell you what's going on. And you're free to do that. You can do as you please. But I want to kind of take my time to explain my reasoning for why I'm going with things the way I am. So first of all, Max is going to be staying with Boyoung from now on, probably permanently. And of course, I'm gonna miss him. I love him. He's like, animal owners, you know what I'm trying to say. I love him. But at the same time, Boyoung loves him as well. And she's always loved him just as much, if not more than I ever have. But the thing is, you guys never really saw that, let alone understood that. See, the truth is, Max is just as much my dog as he is Boyoung's dog. And before you jump to conclusions, let me just explain what I mean by that. Several years ago, when I was first starting off my YouTube journey, when I had finished my teaching contract and decided, you know what, I'm gonna take this part-time YouTube thing full-time, and I'm not gonna renew my teaching contract, and I'm gonna go full-time YouTuber. Well, at the time, you guys know that I'd already met Boyoung, and she was helping me translate my videos, making subtitles, because I was doing the whole Korean interview videos way back then. Obviously, my content has changed a lot since then, but you OG subscribers, you know what I mean? Because at the time, she was always coming over to my place, and we were always working on our laptops, and we were always just really bored, and we had nothing to do aside from working, and then one day she just kind of says hey, why don't you get a dog? I can help you take care of him. You've always wanted a dog, and that's kind of true. I always wanted my own dog. I always wanted one to take care of, to have, since I was a kid. But the problem was that in my apartment that I lived in at the time, I wasn't even allowed to have a dog there, no dogs allowed. But Boyoung really wanted one, to play with whenever we were taking a break from working on videos. And at the same time, I kind of wanted one too. So at the end of the day, I decided, you know what, even though I'm not allowed to have a dog in my apartment, I'm gonna get a dog in my apartment, and I'm gonna take the risk of getting kicked out of my apartment that I probably will be homeless if I don't have. So one day Boyoung is looking up different, dogs that are available for adoption, or that people are giving up or giving away or just can't care for anymore. And we're scrolling at pictures, we're looking at different pictures of different dogs. And she asked me, which one do you like? And I'm looking at one, I'm looking at another. I'm like, these guys are okay. And then I saw Max's picture and I was like, this guy, he's the one. We're getting him. There was just something about the way that Max, looked into the camera, and I looked back into his eyes, and even though I'd never met the dog, I just knew right then that this was my dog. And so we went together. We met the owner, who was unable to care for him anymore because she had to be hospitalized for a long amount of time, so she had to give away Max. And she was of course very heartbroken, but she knew that at least if Max was with the right owners, he could still live a happy life. And so I took Max with Boyoung, we went back to my apartment, we played with him, we cared for him. He was a little freaked out at first, but of course he got used to my new place. And at that time, I was telling Boyoung, I'm like, this is crazy, what have I done? You made me adopt a dog in my apartment, and I'm not even allowed to have a dog. And the reason that Max was staying in my place instead of Boyoung's is because Boyoung wasn't allowed to have a dog either, and her place was way too small. In fact, she ended up moving to a place that was even smaller, like a year later, and so she definitely was never physically capable of having a dog in her place. It just would not work. And so it kind of became like a recurring joke where, we tell each other, all right, but he's gonna live with you as soon as you move into a better apartment where you can have your own dog. Because technically, Boyoung was the one that wanted him from the start. I just kind of went along with it and fell in love with him along the way. But, what you guys don't know and, just never see is that despite how much it seems like I'm Max's owner and I'm the one who loves him the most, the fact of the matter is Boyoung is also his owner and she loves him just as much or more, as I said. And you don't see it on camera because, we just kind of chose not to show you because we didn't want you guys to jump to conclusions and think about any scandals because, I was very careful about my private life, not so much these days, and that's kind of why I'm, making this video now. But that's how it was, we're two best friends who adopted a dog together. One of us couldn't have the dog. One of us could. Well, actually, technically I couldn't either, so I kept it a secret. And there was just so much kind of going on that we didn't want to share all that publicly, and we just kind of marketed it as Max was my dog and I'm the one who, owns him and he's just mine. That's the truth about how we got him. And I'm telling you this so that you can understand that she loves him just as much and he loves her too. Anytime I go and take Max to see Boyoung or Boyoung comes to go and hang out with Max, he runs to the side of her, he barks, he jumps around, he wags his tail, he, waves his little paws. He loves her just the same as, he does that with me after I come back from America after a week of not seeing him. But the thing is, I've moved around a couple of times in the last few years. If you guys have noticed, the background changed, and every time I made sure to find a place that allowed me to have a dog because I didn't want to, play that risk game anymore. Because one of us had to make sure that we could technically have a dog without, breaking the landlord's rules. And it's just so hard to find an apartment, in Seoul that lets you have a dog and lets you have an animal even. And whenever Boyoung would move to a new place, which wasn't even as much as me, it would either be a place that was smaller than her last because, she was kind of forced to move into a smaller place just due to her situation. Or sometimes it'd be a better place, much better than her last place, a step up, but at the same time, once again, they didn't allow dogs. It was a bargain, and it was her one shot at getting a great place, which was the only place available at that time. But again, no dogs allowed. And so, once again, for the term of another lease or contract on another apartment, Max would live with me. And yeah, there was a few times where, Boyoung would take Max and he would stay with her for a few days, but, anything longer than a few days, Max would sometimes bark and it would cause suspicion amongst the neighbors. One time, the landlord even heard about the barking because the neighbor complained, at Boyoung's house. And the landlord was like, why do you have a dog? Blah, blah, blah. You can't have a dog here. And she tried to, write it off as, oh, we're just watching him for my friend. I mean, technically she was, but he was like, no, you're not even allowed to do that. Okay. He's got to go tomorrow. So, I mean, it just wasn't working out. And, all in all, in the back of my mind, I still had this thought that time will come one day when Max will go and live with Boyoung, and run around her place and be happy with her, despite whatever situation happens to me. Anyways, that's kind of one big reason, but there's a couple other small reasons as well that I'm just gonna kind of go over lightly. And one of those reasons is, simply put, she takes better care of him than I do. And I know it may appear to you guys because you've told me in the comments that I'm such a loving owner and I'm such a good dog daddy, but the truth is I don't do my research enough about what's good for Max and what's not good for him, and I'm not as careful with him as I should be, versus Boyoung, who's always doing research, always trying to find the best food for him, always trying to find out if he can eat this or not eat that, and trying to figure out what exercises are okay for him and what kind of playing is not okay. And just recently, like, I took Max to the vet and he, got an x-ray because his stomach was hurting or something. He was like kind of whimpering like he had eaten something. And, sometimes when I'm walking him, he does try and eat things off the ground, and I try to stop him, but sometimes I can't. He's just too quick. So I don't know if it was something he ate or something, but he was like whimpering and making noises. Whenever I tried to pick him up, he would like scream, and he like never does that. So we took him to the vet, we got him x-rayed, the doctor took a look at him. Most likely he's gonna be just fine. But what the doctor also told us is that Max has like stage 2 problems with his kneecap. I don't know, stage 2 something, paletta or whatever, palatal problem, but something's wrong with both of his back knees. And I heard it's very common in Chihuahuas and Pomeranians, and he's a Chihuahua Pomeranian mix. It's very common in those types of small dogs, them to get knee problems, and the doctor said that most likely it's due to him playing around, too much with the toy, standing on his back legs, or maybe running back and forth and twisting too fast. And he asked Boyoung, and Boyoung asked me, like, hey, do you play with him like this? Do you play with him like that? And, all of this is clicking for me, because now that I think about it, I do play with him like that. I hold the toy up above him so he can try and like jump and grab it. I sometimes throw the toy across the room so he can run and pick it up and he comes back to me. Even when I'm working here at my computer, working on a YouTube video for you guys, Max will sometimes just be there looking up at me, with his legs up on my leg, standing on his back legs. And all of these things are really bad for him, and I've done nothing to prevent that. In fact, I've just pretty much encouraged it. And so at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not as good an owner as, I thought. And I'm not using that as an excuse to say like, this is why I'm giving my dog away, but it's just part of it, I neglected his health over just trying to have fun and be entertaining with him and have a good time with him. I mean, Boyoung kind of told me these things before, but I didn't realize that, even just playing with him with the toy and him twisting around back and forth really quickly, I didn't know that was really bad too. And I don't know, I don't even brush his teeth as often as I should. Versus Boyoung, she would do that, every night. So again, it's just part of it, like she definitely takes better care of him, in a health way. And this is another small reason, but I already said it in like a previous video, but I don't want you guys to like use this as like an excuse, and one of those dweebs will write a comment saying, so long story short, yeah, his girlfriend's allergic to the dog. Yes, Jimin is technically allergic to dogs and cats, but it's not like terribly allergic. It just kind of like aggravates her sinuses and makes her sneeze and sometimes get a runny nose. But I'm not saying that's like the reason I'm giving away my dog. I just told you the reasons why. Anyways, Boyoung has finally moved to a new place, a pretty good place that she's happy with, and she can finally have a dog in her new place. And so the time has come for Max to go and live there. And I know it's coming off as such a shock to you guys, Max won't be in the videos anymore. I mean, I'll still see him sometimes if I ever, like stop over and go hang out with him. But for now, Max is going to stay with Boyoung. And I really want you guys to respect this decision, because technically it was made a long time ago, and I am just staying true to my words and not going back on promises that I've made. So today I finally met up with her and showed her Max, and of course Max was really excited to see her, and it was nice. It was a happy little moment, and I saw how happy he is with her and seeing her, and I know that he's going to be okay. I know he's going to be just fine. In fact, I think he'll be healthier. About his knee thing, I just want to, add in, I didn't really talk the details of it, but the stage 2 thing, that sounds really bad. But like stage 2 is technically, it's okay for now as long as it doesn't go to stage 3, with his kneecaps. But I don't know, he's only 4. He's going to be 5 in December, and I don't know, Chihuahuas live a long time. So I really hope that his knees can stay healthy. That's really what is concerning me. But I know that Boyoung is going to take good care of him. She even said she's going to get like mats in her apartment so that the floor is even going to be softer for him, and when he runs around it won't have as much impact on him. See, these are things that, I don't even think about. Anyways, as I was saying, I would really like it if you guys respected our decision on, this whole thing, and I would really appreciate it if, you guys didn't send any negativity or anything towards, Boyoung on her channel or her live streams or anything. Because if you're a fan of mine and if you're a fan of hers, you wouldn't do that. That's not what a real fan would do. I'm gonna miss that little guy a lot. I don't know if I'm ever gonna get a new dog anytime soon. It just doesn't really feel right. But at the same time, I know that he's in a good place, and I know that he's making someone really happy. And Boyoung honestly deserves that. She really does. Going back to the whole you guys don't see everything that happens off camera, she's been through a lot these last couple of years, and somewhere like 8 months ago or at the beginning of this year, I remember that Boyoung had gotten a hamster, just a friendly little companion that she could have at her place, because that's about the only thing that she actually could have in her apartment. And she was so excited. She vlogged it. She made a video saying like, hey, I got a son, I got a new animal and he's mine. And some people were wondering why she never made any more videos with that hamster. And the truth is, she didn't want to talk about it at the time, but she said it's okay for me to talk about it in this video. She just felt so bad that she didn't personally want to do it in her own video. But the truth is, shortly after buying that hamster, it got really sick. And it just started shaking a few days after she bought it. And I came over one day to film a video with her, and I saw he was shaking. And shortly after, he died. She didn't even get to name him. I called him Goldie because he had a little bit of gold, tint to some parts of his fur, but technically, he didn't even have a name yet. We buried him together. Max came along, found a little patch of dirt, and that was the end of it. On top of that, the year before that, Boyoung was kind of forced to live in a prison, not a prison, but like a really small, what we call goshiwan, which is like studio hotel. It's like really small. It's like smaller than a studio, really small room, and there's no actual windows. Unless you're lucky, but hers was like on the inside, so her room didn't have an actual window, so there was no fresh air, no sunlight. It was torturous, and there was a shared kitchen that she never felt comfortable using because there was always like middle-aged guys cooking there, hogging everything. They were cooking during the day, they would cook during the night, and she was basically living there because, at the time, I'm a much bigger YouTuber, and I always have been, and she had only recently started her channel, and she was putting her all into this, and she was really trying to, be a full-time creator, but she wasn't successful enough to, get a nicer place, and until finally she did. She has been through so much, and she is such a strong person for persevering, and honestly, she deserves Max. She really does. Every piece of fur on his body she deserves. I'm not saying that I don't deserve him, but let me put it this way. If I'm Thor and Mjolnir is my hammer and I'm worthy enough to carry it, then she's Captain America and she's just as worthy. I really am happy that Max can finally stay with her and, help cheer her up a little bit and be happy. And finally, I know a lot of you guys are going to ask me this, but why did we stop collaborating and hanging out so much? And guys, the real answer is just life happens, Like, we're both busy, we're both finally doing our own things, we've both changed so much in the last few years as creators and as people, but the one thing that didn't change was our love for this dog. And I hope that at the end of the day, you guys can understand and respect that. That's about it. Thank you guys for watching. I know this video was a total downer, and I get that. New videos are going to be a lot happier and not focused on, such serious stuff. But I just felt I had to make this video because, you guys are going to wonder where Max is and why he disappeared from my channel and reappeared on someone else's channel. And I hope you guys have a great day. I will see you guys in the next video. Good night.